Hello, founders, and welcome to the Startup Foundations podcast. I'm your host, Greg Miaskiewicz. Today on the show, I speak with Erik Torenberg, who is founder at On Deck, a startup building a fellowship program for top tech talent, as well as Village Global, a leading early-stage venture fund. We discuss Erik's journey as an entrepreneur, starting with his first startup, Raft FM, and his role as employee number one at Product Hunt. So you've invested in many startups at this point. Some of them have been big successes, like you mentioned, Lattice. Tell us about your biggest misses, basically the successful companies that you were presented the opportunity to invest, but ended up passing for whatever reason.
There's a bunch. I should say the success of On Deck, which I should, clarify, is still a bit premature to it's still early in its development, but has changed a lot of things about hard rules I had or hard rules in the industry. One, in the sense of there have been, On Deck didn't have a clear CEO in the beginning that was dedicated for long term. And that's typically a reason not to invest. And yet On Deck is doing well. Another big reason is On Deck didn't have a clear business model in terms of really understanding how it was going to get to 100 million in revenue. It had an idea of how to get to a few million, and then it sort of said, "Trust me, we'll figure something out." And usually, I didn't like to back those businesses, so I'm sort of humbled on the heuristics I now have after this experience, while appreciating that and further appreciating this is a game of outliers. And so the winners are always, are often going to have something fuzzy, something hazy, some hair on it, and to be open-minded of not why will this fail, but what could this be if it works? And so to more precisely answer your question, one example that comes to mind for me is Masterclass. And this is actually a bigger mistake than saying no. It's about not being persistent enough. He let me have 5K, verbally. In fact, 5K is not going to change my life, but as an angel investor in this round, and Masterclass was is a huge company. It could have been a great name to be associated with. I wasn't persistent enough in securing my allocation. We had a verbal commitment to it. I followed up. Then I didn't send him any more emails, and I sort of just let it pass. I was like, oh, if he doesn't want to take it, maybe it's not the right fit. But no, you gotta chase these things down, not have too much pride, and make sure you're in.
What about the cases where you just straight up said no and they're now a unicorn? Can you think of something like that?
I'm sure. Here's an example. Anduril. We had an opportunity to do Anduril as our first investment in Village Global, and at the time, this was seen as the border wall company. There was a lot of hair on the deal. People were concerned about, Palmer's, reputation. Oh, he seems like a fantastic guy. I was always a fan. But we were worried about the optics of looking on the wrong side of history with that deal, and it turns out to be great for the world in my opinion, and a great investment. And we were so concerned because of the optics of being a new firm with all these big names that there would be challenges. And so I'm sympathetic to why we said, and then it was also expensive. Sympathetic to why we said no, but I think we should have had a bit more courage at the time to say yes.
All right, thanks for joining us, Erik.
Thanks for having me, Greg. We're honored to be a Capbase supporter.
All right, bye.
Thanks for listening to the Startup Foundations podcast, a podcast that tells the stories of startup founders and how they built their companies from the ground up. Until next time, keep building and keep innovating.